Welcome to the Dana Cortez Show. What's good, everyone? I'm Dana Cortez.
DJ Automatic. I go by Anthony A.
And we want to welcome into the show Titus O'Neil. First of all, not only is he a WWE superstar, but more importantly, philanthropist. Yay!
Hey. Just an all around good dude.
For real. Welcome, good sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys? Thanks for the show finally.
I know. Okay, so I have to say something. I have been a fan of yours, and I've been following you for literally years. You have been a giver, for a long time. But now you have this app called Kindly. And before we talk about the app, I want to ask you personally. You are a rich person now. You're a rich man. You don't have to give. You don't have to do these things. You're going around the country building houses, giving people food, taking people that are homeless to dinner, encouraging others to remember these are just people. These are our brothers and sisters. Why do you do what you do when you don't have to do it?
Well, people always ask me that question, how can you find time to do so much? And I always say, how can I not? I'm the product of a rape. My mother was raped at the age of 11 and had me at the age of 12, and against the wishes of so many people. I grew up very poor and labeled a kid that would be dead or in jail by the time I was 16, and I believed that for a good amount of my young adult life. And then I got a chance to go to a place called the Florida Sheriff's Boys Ranch in Live Oak, Florida. And if it wasn't for that place, and specifically a conversation that I had at 12 years old, when I was getting ready to get kicked off of the Boys Ranch for fighting, which is very odd to me now that I get paid a lot of money to do that on TV with underwear, boots, and baby oil. He essentially, the decision was made that I would be sent home from the Boys Ranch, and the area director at the time, Mr. Pat Minogue, went against the wishes of everyone else and allowed me to stay anyway. And he told me that he loved me and that he believed in me and that there was no such thing as a bad kid. And a lot of people had told me that they loved me up to that point, but never really, but then turn around and abuse me, beat me, cuss me, etc. But nobody had ever told me that they believed that I can do anything. It was the complete opposite. That I would be dead or in jail by the time I was 16. I was too dumb to go to college. I would never graduate from high school. The list went on and on. And so from that conversation, I started having to learn to believe in myself, and not only believe in myself, believe in others around me that, essentially were strangers that I was not really given a chance to invest in me. And once I allowed them to invest in me with their time, their talents, and their resources, my whole world started to change. And then my thought process started to change as well, is that regardless of where we're at in life, we all need help. And I'll never be able to repay those people that invested in the Boys and Girls Club that I attended. I'll never be able to repay those people that invested in the Boys Ranch or the schools or the after-school programs, or etc. But what I can do is wake up every morning with a heart of gratitude and try to pay it forward as best possible and leading with dignity. There are a lot of people that, do a lot of transactional things in the world, and that's great. But I truly believe that my life has changed because of transformational giving, transformational investments. And that's what I try to do on a consistent basis, is make transformational change. Yeah, a transaction at Christmas or Thanksgiving may be great to feed people, and you may give them enough food to last for 7 days. But after those 7 days, it doesn't, alleviate the pain that they may be suffering financially. It doesn't alleviate the pain that they may be dealing with the pandemic. They were dealing with close to being homeless, and some of these families you'll see, maybe you guys even see in Phoenix and across the country, you'll give them a Thanksgiving meal and they don't even have a place to go warm it up to.
Right. You're about providing a solution and hope. And I want to go back to the beginning of your answer. You said something so powerful, and I didn't want to forget the thought. What you are told from the time you're born is so important, because that is ingrained into our minds, into our psyche. And if someone tells you you're no good, then you believe that. But once someone tells you that you are worthy and that you can be somebody, those are the most powerful gifts that anyone can give you, whoever is raising you. My nana raised me, my uncle raised me, and those are the gifts they gave me, telling me that they love me, and that I could be anyone I wanted to be. So no matter what happened in life, when I left their home, I kept going back to those words and those values. And so I really want people to focus on what Titus said, because those words, it doesn't have to be a parent. It could be a teacher. It can be
Yeah.
someone, like you said, who just wanted to invest in you. It doesn't have to be monetary. That
Yeah.
words were an investment in your persona, and they really, they are the reason that you are who you are today. It's such
Absolutely.
a powerful message. And I know you had a question
Well,
for
I
Titus
did
as
because
well.
okay, so I think you're a great person. I think that you're kind, you're honest. Would you ever think about getting into politics? Because we need more people like you in
I
politics.
was gonna say I was gonna cuss, but I don't know if you guys show us PG or not.
You can say
But
whatever you want to say. You can say whatever you want to say.
fuck no, I would not be.
Why not? Why not?
Well, it's for several reasons. Number one, and this isn't against all politicians, but you know, for the ones that I've had encounters with, you know, that you hear from them when it's time for them to run for office. You hear from them when it's time for them to try to push a bill through, but you don't really have access to them, you know, outside of that. And especially those that are really the grassroots reason as to why they are elected. They don't really have it's only a few select people that actually get positions after they
It's all
win.
about a photo op, right? It's about an opportunity for them to just kind of get elected, and then they forget about the people that need them the most.
Well, yeah, it's not just that. I think, you know, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, Independent, you know, we're all human beings. And I just feel like for me, I've always been a connector. You know, I'm a no bullshit kind of guy. You know,
Right.
I just want to get the work done. And a lot of times in politics, based on whatever party you're affiliated with or somebody's, you know, issue with you, they completely forget that you're dealing with hundreds of thousands and sometimes millions of people's lives that they're playing monopoly with. And I agree with that. I don't agree with the system of politics and how long it takes for them to decide whether or not a school needs to get an AC put in it, whether or not these underserved schools, these teachers that are at these schools, you know, especially now with COVID, the fact that they got to go to brick and mortar and still have the least amount of resources, and they're most of the Title I schools are in worse situations than ever, just because they're coming from an impoverished background. You got and health disparities within those communities, and we're yelling and talking about a vaccine, but we're really not. That vaccine is a temporary fix for a lot of people as far as the pandemic is, the sickness is concerned. But what about the housing? What about the jobs that were lost? What about the restaurants and the businesses that had to close down?
There's
You
a
know,
whole trickle effect, right?
not,
During the pandemic, people that were already hurting are in dire need now. People
yes.
that are living on the edge are in a position that they probably never lived in, more so than ever. We have a country.
Yeah, depression is up. Domestic violence is up.
Yes.
You know, the opportunity for kids that are in foster care are, you know, it was already a broken system in my opinion. Luckily, I had a chance to go to the Florida Sheriff's Boys Ranch, and I wasn't in the foster care system because a lot of times that's a money grab for some people.
Right.
And we're just, like I said, we're playing Monopoly with people's lives, and I don't agree with that. And so I will tell people to go vote. I never have told anybody who to go vote for because that's not what I do, except on certain occasions. Locally, I think that I'm more invested in the political landscape than I probably should be because that's where I have the quickest amount of access to.
Right.
You know, I do have access to Joe Biden and Donald Trump, but I wouldn't pick up the telephone and call them and say, hey, I need you to fix this. I would call my mayor, or I would call my sheriff, or I'll call my police chief.
Another important message. These are the people that have the power to make those changes within our communities. The president isn't going to care about your school Wi-Fi or lack thereof, or the potholes in your.
I wouldn't say that he doesn't care. I wouldn't say that he doesn't care. It's just that, you know, before there are so many stages prior to it even getting to his desk that people need to educate themselves on their local government and their state government, because those are the ones that truly make the real difference when it really comes down to it. And I want people to also understand that people make politics, not politics make people. There's a difference. And until we start,
Are paying their salaries,
you know, this whole concept of the Kindli app is just we launched it on Friday the 13th, which in itself is supposed to be a suspicious day, but it wasn't a suspicious day at all. Very on point with what we want to try to do. We want to try to put more kindness in the world. This is the first social unity app of its kind. There's nothing out there like it. And our main goal is to get people to go out and be great human beings. There's no room on this app at all for any racism. You don't talk politics. It's just a timeline of kind acts of kindness, and we're going to try to track those acts of kindness, 1 billion to be exact, acts of kindness through our kindly.org website, as well as try to generate $1 billion for charity. And there are numerous worthy charitable organizations that we've aligned with as founding partners. One of those charities is my Bullard Family Foundation. Another one is Tim Tebow Foundation. We have the Boys and Girls Club, Susan G. Komen. My grandmother passed away from breast cancer when I was in 1995, and she was literally the rock of our family. And so I've not only been a strong advocate for breast cancer with Susan G. Komen, not just through our partnership with WWE, but long before that, I was doing that. So, I just think that this app gives people the opportunity to show truly how great this world can be when we allow ourselves to be, because, America has this bravado that we're the greatest country in the world. And in a lot of cases we are, but when we look at the mass incarcerations and we look at mass shootings and education and where we lie in all those things, we can't say we're the greatest country in the world until we start being the greatest people in the world. And so that's what I hope that because when I hear "Make America Great Again" as a Black man in America, America wasn't always great for us. We had to endure slavery. There's still systemic issues and barriers that are in place and have been in place for years that Black men and women, lesbian and gay community have had to try to overcome, turn a blind eye to. And this app, honestly, is an escape from Facebook. It's an escape from all, Instagram. It's an escape from all that stuff, because it's a free app to download. You make a one-time donation to whatever charity you choose within our organizational chart as far as founding members are concerned, to comment or to post, and then after that, it's you're off and running.
Well, we go back to the beginning of the conversation. You become a product of your surroundings. If you're only looking at negativity, you're automatically going to be a negative person. If you're on this app and you're seeing all these positive things, if you are watching other people give, you're going to be influenced to do the same. And the more we can reach back, because I come from humble beginnings as well. We've spoken briefly about that. You talked about the African American community. I'm Mexican American. Let me tell you, if you saw the house I grew up in, I don't know that you call it a house. It's 300 square feet in its entirety. It's about giving back and also not forgetting those communities. There should not be one neighborhood in this great country that you don't want to live in, that you feel like you have to escape from. I always tell local politicians, if you are in a community that has a school that you don't want to send your own children to, you're already failing. There shouldn't be a school in this country that we don't want to send our children to. And I know, Anthony, you had a question as well about the Kindli app.
Yeah, in relation to the app, I'm a big fan of the app, Titus, because I believe also in a digital era that we live, right, the social media era that we live in, good positive news has to work 6 times as hard as negative news to spread. So what you and everybody at the Kindli app are doing is a great thing to do. My question is, in pursuit of your, spreading out kind acts throughout the globe, is there one story or one act of kindness that's kind of sticking out to you right now? Maybe you could share with us a story or something you've seen somebody do within the app that kind of pops out to you.
I mean, I know we were in Phoenix, a couple of weeks ago, and just being able to participate in the Habitat for Humanity project out there and see and I've done this before, whether it be through WWE or other organizations working with Habitat for Humanity. I've never seen the actual family that is going to be living in that house be a part of that building process. And to be able to have a conversation with the father of the family that is going to be living in that house and what it means to them, and how, you know, he's putting in his blood, sweat, and tears to build a home that he never even thought would be attainable. That's my most recent memory of how our kind acts, and how we can be, you know, participate in something that's so much bigger than just the act. You know, it's breaking a generational curse. I'm the first person in my family to graduate from high school, the first person to go to college and graduate from college, the first homeowner, the first car owner. I'm all of that. So to be able to have his family set to break a generational curse, that in itself has a long-standing impact that we will never even understand, just because you know, we're there, we're hammering nails, we're sweeping, we're painting, we're doing all these things, and we know that at the end result, a family is going to reside there. But to know that father can have something to pass down, hopefully to his kids and to his grandkids, that is something that you can't put a price tag on. You can't like set one story aside and say, hey, this is the #1 story, because there are tons of people out there doing so many things. You guys have utilized your platform to do toy drives, to feed the homeless, to do so much. And all these things, you know, if we're able to track these things and record these things and put them out on a social digital app, on a social media app, that gives other people that might say, oh, well, I only have $20, man. I can't do that. I'm not Titus O'Neil. I'm not Dana Cortez. I'm not on the radio. You don't have to be on the radio. You don't have to be this, you know, entertainment figure or this sports figure to make a difference. A homeless guy led me to Christ at 13 years old, just by having a conversation with me and saying, hey, man, God's going to use you, you know, for mighty things. If I wanted to be an asshole, I can be like, well, you homeless. How can you tell me, you know, what God's going to do for me? But my response was, yeah, you know, I hope that he called me on the football field as I was walking off, because he used to be at practice every single week. And one of our boosters in my high school used to get the Danishes from Publix before they threw them out. And he would always bring them to practice on Thursdays, our walkthrough days. And I would always give him stuff, you know, as I go. And I found out that he loved the same thing I did, which was the blueberry muffins. So I would give him the blueberry muffins and the blueberry Danishes every single time. And he said, you know, God's going to use you in mighty ways. And I said, yeah, I hope to go to the NFL, you know, and make a lot of money and this and that. And he said, no, man. It's like, this ain't got nothing to do with sports. I see God in you doing mighty, amazing things. And it doesn't matter if you go to the NFL or the NBA or whatever, God's going to use you. And at 13 years old, I built this relationship with a guy that ultimately led him out of homelessness, helped him get a job through one of my teammates, and reconnect with his family. He used to be at that time, he was a person that ran a Fortune 500 company. And I asked him one day, I said, do you mind if how do we become friends? You know, how did you end up in this situation? He said, well, if I told you that drugs, alcohol, if I told you that I was a top executive and I had a beautiful home, beautiful cars, house, etc., would you believe me? And I said, well, if that's what you tell me, that's what I got to believe. And he said, that's exactly what my life used to be. But drugs, alcohol, and gambling took me away from all of that. And at that moment, and I say this all the time, I realized that we're all one situation away from being in a worse situation, and we're all one situation away from being in a better situation. It's all in God's timing, in my opinion.
And you shouldn't judge someone until
No,
you don't know what that person has been through. You don't know why they're in the situation they're in. All you can do is offer help. And by the way, faith is free.
yes, yeah. Whether you're a Muslim, a Christian, a Buddhist, or you believe in the sun, the rocks, or whatever, I think that you know, again, politics and religion, in my opinion, have separated more people than they have brought them together. When we allow human beings to be the best human beings they possibly can, I know atheists that probably give more than some Christians and judge less than some Christians.
The Pope got some flack because he said a good atheist can get into heaven. And
Mm,
people were very angry with that statement. But
yeah,
I believe what he meant by that is what you're saying is that good people are good people and bad people are bad people. You can claim Christianity, you can claim Hindu, you can claim whatever, but it's how you live that determines who you are, not what you claim. It's what you're doing.
With this Kindly app, it's giving people an opportunity to live out their best life. You know what I mean? The best of all of us. Hey, I was able to buy Kindly cards, and I got a Kindly card from my sister today, and after she bought me a cup of coffee, I want to pass it along. Like, that's kindness is contagious, and good. Even on all these other social media apps, amidst all the negativity, we come across a beautiful story here and there, a beautiful act of kindness here and there, and it gets retweeted a million times, because especially now during this pandemic, people, we've definitely become more creative, the creative with the the memes and everything else. And so many people were looking for outlets. They were at one point looking for sports to be that outlet. And then, with stuff getting pushed back and not being able to watch their favorite players, et cetera, this and that. And like Netflix, I'm sure doubled their subscriptions or tripled them, Hulu, Apple TV, all these other people, because people were looking for an escape from this nightmare that we all have been enduring over the past.
Tell everybody, how do we get the Kindly app? Like, how do I get this? Is it free? All that good stuff.
Yeah, it's free to download. You can go to any app store, Google Play, download it in the app store. In order to post, you make a one-time donation of $1, which you can select where that dollar goes. And that dollar is not to run the app or anything. It's literally going 100% is going to whatever charity that you choose. And then from then on, you're off and running. You can post whatever you want. You can comment on other people's posts. And
spell the app though, because it's spelled differently. It's Kindli, $1 donation initially to any charity listed, and the dollar is going directly to that. It's not going to run the app. Now, I have another question for you. You just said you're a Christian man. You believe in Jesus Christ. What are you doing for Christmas? How does Titus O'Neil plan to spend his Christmas?
So I have a place in Asheville, North Carolina. So me and my kids are going to go up to Asheville, spend some time at the Biltmore on Christmas Day. And I don't really get, I probably, because the way I grew up, there was no Santa Claus. We didn't have chimneys in our neighborhood. So I'm not a big Santa Claus person. I believe in Jesus. I get up in the morning, we pray together as a family. We're very thankful. We make our phone calls to our immediate loved ones. And then my kids already have Christmas pretty much every day of the year, but I ask them, hey, what do you want to get this year? And then I give them the money, and then they just go buy their own stuff, because I don't like disappointing people when it
comes. Like shopping. You don't got time for shopping. You're building houses.
Yeah, I got time for that.
How many kids do you have? I know you have all boys, but how many do you have?
I have two sons, 14 and 16. My 14-year-old looks like he's about 23, and my 16-year-old looks like he's about 20. So
sure, because I've seen how. I mean, we took pictures with you. I was like, man, Titus is tall.
Titus is a big. I'm 6 foot, 200 pounds, and Titus makes me look like a very small man.
I want to ask you something.
My young Titus is 6'2".
Jeez.
205. My youngest kid, my 14-year-old, and my oldest is 6'1". And a 190.
So the youngest is already bigger than the oldest. Oh, I'm sure the oldest is not like that at all.
Are they playing football?
Yeah, they are. They actually have a playoff game this week. They win this game, they'll be playing in the state championship the following week. So very excited about that. Both of my boys are playing lights out, on varsity. I have a 9th and an 11th grader. And last week my junior had an 82-yard touchdown, one-handed touchdown, interception to the house, and then my youngest had a sack and 3 forced fumbles. So they've been a hell of a duo out there. I've been proud dad.
So I got to ask you something, Titus, before we close out here. I know you've got a million things to do, but at the beginning of this conversation, you were very honest about, how you came into the world, about your family, and I wonder, do you ever go back to look at the home that you grew up in and marvel at how far you've come, at where everything started from?
Yeah, I can't go back and look at the home because the place has been completely gentrified.
Okay.
But I do have very frequent conversations with my mom The latest one being yesterday morning. Before I posted, what I was going to do for Giving Tuesday, I called first. I texted her to make sure she was awake, and then called her and just said, thank you, so much. I always every holiday season, things like that, when I'm able to help generate so much money and joy and smiles, I always try to reflect back to my mom and growing up, without having much of anything and seeing my mom give to other single mothers when we didn't have nothing essentially ourselves. She'd get our food stamps and buy us some grocery and then buy, a couple other people grocery. It's a constant reminder to me, and I try to do it pretty regularly, not just the sacrifices that my mom made, but there are so many other mothers and grandmothers and even dads, single dads as well, that are out there doing everything they can to make ends meet that might not ever meet. But for whatever reason, God chose me, and I understand that I'm chosen. I wasn't called for this work. I was chosen for this work.
Right.
And with that comes great responsibility. And the responsibility, first and foremost, is to be obedient. So I've had to give to people that I know for a fact don't like me and I don't like them. I've had to work with people that I know for a fact don't have this, are not aligned with the same missions that I'm aligned with. But at the end of the day, it's going to be for the betterment of others. And I think that if people started thinking more so of the big picture, which is this is not about me, this is not about my family, this is about generations of other people's families, because the one kind act that could come from any of us on this call could help shape the life and change the life of generations of families to come. And like I
hope
said,
you can spread more of that, because I feel like people have become more self-serving, and it's very disappointing to me.
yeah, but you know what? Even the self-serving people, they will get you in time. They'll grow a greater amount of respect for you, and they'll become less self-serving once they realize the big picture. Sometimes it takes a lot of light to go into a place that's extremely dark in order to even brighten it a little bit. And so our goal should be every single day, whether it's at work or at church or at home, out with our friends or whatever, is to be the light and smile as big as you can. Even if you ain't got no teeth, that can be attractive to.
And I love that you said you called your mom, because my mom's birthday was this week, and I texted her and I said, I want to tell you you're beautiful and I love you, and I want to thank you for the ultimate gift, my life. The
Mhm.
same thing, she wasn't with my father, and nobody wanted her to have me, and she did. And I'm gonna say, it's not that I am all about you do whatever you got to do. It's your body, it's your choice. But for me, that was the ultimate gift, and I'm here and I have a purpose. So
Yeah,
hopefully,
what I tell people all the time, I'm not pro-life, I'm not pro-choice, I'm pro-God, and whatever God you serve gives you, the opportunity to make a decision. I don't believe that another man should tell a woman that's been raped or sexually assaulted that she should have a baby anyway, or another woman. I don't think anybody should tell a woman what to do with their body. You can't force a person into a restaurant and said, eat this, So how can you, that's food, that's a tangible thing. We're talking about people's bodies. And so whatever decision that needs to be made, I don't believe in, I can't say, I don't know. All I know is that my mom made a decision against the wishes of a lot of people and had me. She was told for a long time, have an abortion, have an abortion, have an abortion. Driven from St. Augustine, Florida, down to Boynton Beach, Florida, to have an abortion. My mom jumped out of the car, and 3 months later, I was born. I've been homeless at times. I have gone without food sometimes. But at the end of the day, God had a plan that neither me or my mom could ever imagine. And now it's my goal every single day to live out that plan. And I'm not a perfect man. I'm not a perfect individual. I get upset. I cuss. I fuss. I fight. But at the end of the day, I know my heart is pure in every action that and I mean what I mean. I mean what I say. And knowing that my words mean a lot to a lot of people, those that are strangers, those that know me personally, I take that to heart as well. And so I'm very I'm not, wouldn't say calculated with how I say certain things, because I say whatever I say, I mean it.
Choose those words wisely, because as we started this conversation, words are powerful. And what
Right.
you say matters to people. Titus,
Mhm.
thank you for your time, sir. I just feel so much joy, and I want to thank you. I mean, the Kindly app is something I'm downloading as soon as we're done here with this conversation. I think we all will. Is there one message you want to share with all your fans and the people who look up to you?
Yeah, I mean, my shirt says it all. Spread hope. You know, there's a lot of stuff that's out there that has been debilitating to the human element of what our world should stand for. And whether you're downloading the Kindly app and doing acts of kindness, or reach out to that loved one that you've been arguing with or fighting with for years, or that you've been upset with, because life is precious. A lot of people lost their lives through various issues, COVID being, at the head of a lot of people's mind, because it's just in our face every day. But there have been people that have lost their lives to cancer, to gunshot wounds, to heinous crimes, to police brutality. And, and I've seen some of those kids that have died from cancer that I met just 2 years ago. And the one thing that all those kids had in common is that they spread hope. They gave people a reason to smile. They brought families and communities together that were not supposed to be dealing with each other at all. And unfortunately, in our country, the only time that we ever truly come together as people here in the United States is through times of tragedy. A hurricane hits, and all of a sudden, everybody wants to donate to the Red Cross or the Salvation Army or whatever. You may not be in the place that the hurricane hit, but you do feel compelled to donate $5 to help those relieved. You will gather water and clothing for those in Puerto Rico. And then it's almost like it's forgotten about, because the next hashtag movement comes along. Prayers for Vegas.
There's a tragedy going on in someone's life every day.
Every day.
Kind every day.
I always say the biggest problem America has is entitlement.
But that's another conversation for another day.
But I'm going to kick myself if I don't ask you this. And before I had my cough attack, I wanted to ask you one thing. Does anybody, I mean, you're a professional wrestler. You're a professional football player. I read yesterday that somebody tried to test Mike Tyson after he had his fight.
Oh, my God.
Does anybody ever try to test you, Titus?
They try to step up you?
Yeah, it's been a couple people. They were inebriated at the time, and I have to understand that. But that's one of the reasons why I don't really. I mean, this is actually like 3 weeks ago at the Florida-Georgia game. I was just walking back to the parking lot. Guy was just hammered. He was a Georgia fan, and he was like, "Hey, you're Titus O'Neil. I can kick your ass right now. We might have lost the game, and you might be a Gator, but I'll whoop your ass right now." And I just, I looked at his homeboys and I was like, "Hey, man, y'all better get that motherfucker home."
Okay, my last one. If we're just asking questions that we can't not let Titus O'Neil leave without asking. Now, Undertaker recently retired, and the world was shocked. The wrestling world was shocked. I was impacted. Just friend to friend, Titus, is the Undertaker the greatest of all time?
Absolutely. When you think about his professionalism, you think about how long he did this in this business, and how long he was able to maintain every single character, whether it was the American Badass or the Undertaker, the list goes on and on. And he didn't all of a sudden just come out after being the American Badass and be like, "Hey guys, I'm a good guy now. Cheer for me." You know what I mean? Like, he got cheered because of the respect that people have for him in this industry, and him performing at a high level every single time he went out, whether it's 10 people in the crowd or 10,000 people in the crowd or 100,000. He performed the same exact way every single night, night in and night out. And the business of sports entertainment has changed so much in that time, and he's always evolved with the times. And so for that, my hat's off to him, battling through so many different injuries, being a great father, and husband and his kids, and being a great mentor to all of the younger generation of superstars. Always willing to come back and give us all insight on, what we could do better, how we could have changed certain things during our match, even during our promos, You know, he'd be backstage sometimes and he'd be like, "That's good stuff, man." Like, and if you entertain him or you get an attaboy from him, that's like getting, you know, the blessing of the Pope in some cases.
It feels good though to know that he's a good person,
my heart
right? Because
is
you
warm
wonder.
now.
You're
Thank
like,
you,
okay,
Titus.
we all big
Oh,
fans of
thank
him,
God.
but you're like, hold on, do we need to be? All right, he's a good man. Titus
Yeah, no,
O'Neil, thank you for your time. We love you. Download Kindly. Woo!
Please.
Thank you.